I tested the best beginner cameras for vlogging, and I realized a good beginner camera for vlogging needs to not only be affordable, like a few $100s, but you also need very specific features that most people don't know about. So let's break down the best beginner vlogging cameras based on price and the features you need. Also, I'll leave links down below with the best pricing on all the cameras. Let's start with one of the most popular and affordable beginner vlogging cameras, and that is the Canon M50 Mark I that I actually own and absolutely love. You can buy this camera around $300 used or even cheaper if you find the right deal. This camera was designed from the ground up for vloggers and lifestyle shooters. This camera is extremely lightweight and compact and literally fits in the palm of my hands. And because this camera is so small, it's perfect for travel and everyday carry. The button layout is simple, intuitive, and perfect for manual shooters, but it also has some really great auto modes, so you can just turn on the camera and start recording with no hassle. Best of all, it also has a side articulating screen for self-recording, and the screen is also 100% touch sensitive over your menu settings, navigation, and even touch autofocus, which is perfect if you're upgrading from a smartphone. And it also has a built-in flash because let's be honest, you're gonna want to take some photos, but it also has a mic jack for external audio, and the battery life is very solid. You'll get about an hour of non-stop video recording and a few hundred photos. Also, since it's an older camera, there's a ton of cheap lenses available for it, making it very easy to upgrade your setup. And the kit lens the Canon M50 comes with isn't half bad either. It's a 15 to 45mm lens, which is pretty much everything you need as a beginner. Inside the M50 Mark I, it has a 24-megapixel APS-C size sensor that is very similar to what you find in newer and more expensive Canon cameras like the Canon R50 and the Canon R10. And this sensor allows for the three most important things that every vlogger needs. You can shoot full HD video at 24 and 30 frames per second, and your video footage is going to look sharp and crisp, and the colors look absolutely fantastic, which is something Canon cameras are known for. And the colors look especially flattering for skin tones and nature. And the autofocus is fast and accurate, making sure you're always in focus. Now, there is an M50 Mark II, which has even better autofocus, but unless you're really struggling with fast moving objects, you really don't need to bother. And the M50 Mark I also has a digital stabilization to smooth out any jerky hand movement, so you'll pretty much always get a great looking vlog. And the Canon M50 can also shoot slow motion. You can do full HD up to 60 frames per second for 2x slow motion, or 720p, which is kind of low resolution, but you can shoot up to 120 frames per second for 5x slow motion. The M50 Mark I does shoot 4K, but it comes with a pretty heavy crop, which ruins your wide shot when it comes to vlogging, and the autofocus is also much slower. I really don't recommend the M50 Mark I for 4K. This is really a full HD camera, which is enough for most beginners. But if you absolutely want 4K, all the other cameras on this list do have 4K at slow motion as well. And even though it's a vlogging camera, this camera takes excellent photos. It can shoot 10 frames per second with 14-bit RAW, making it a very good budget photo camera as well. So if you're looking for a budget-friendly beginner vlogging camera, the Canon M50 Mark I is simply the best option for what you get and what you pay, and this is an amazing deal. But if you want a modern vlogging camera with pro-level video features in a compact form factor without wrecking your pockets, the DJI Pocket Osmo 3 is the way to go. It's about $519 new, or if you can find it used, it can be as low as $399 or $450. And the DJI Pocket Osmo 3 has one very unique and interesting feature. It has a built-in 3-axis gimbal for buttery smooth footage whether you're walking or running. And it can even track moving objects and capture stunning photo panoramas. And honestly, I'm shocked by how good this tiny little camera looks. The controls on the Osmo Pocket 3 are very simple and intuitive. It has a single LCD screen for menus, settings, and framing, plus a joystick to control the gimbal, and a record button for photo and video capture. And the video automatically switches between vertical and horizontal depending on the screen orientation. And despite the camera being so small, the battery life is very solid. But you can also add an optional battery pack for extended shooting, and it can also charge via USB-C. Also, if audio is important to you, for $50 more, you can also get the DJI Mic Mini with the Osmo Pocket 3. This tiny wireless mic delivers absolutely amazing audio for vlogs or any kind of video work. It's actually the same mic that I'm using right now as my lavalier mic, so if audio matters, definitely pick up this mic with it. Now, when it comes to the lens, it has a 20mm fixed lens with digital zoom. And you can attach a magnetic lens adapter for a wider or tighter shot, and you can also add magnetic ND filters or even an anamorphic lens adapter. And the lens itself has a very fast 2.0 aperture. This lens gives you really great low light performance and even more of that blurry background look. Inside the camera, it features a 9.4 megapixel 1-inch type sensor. Now, that might sound low, but it actually gives you better low light performance and faster video frame rates. It shoots 4K at 24 and 30 frames per second, which is perfect for vlogs, all the way to 4K at 60 frames per second for 2x slow motion in horizontal mode. In vertical mode, it shoots 3.7K all the way up to 60 frames per second, which is perfect for TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Instagram Reels. It also shoots 4K at 24 and 30 frames per second in a dedicated low light mode, which honestly looks pretty good. But my absolute favorite feature is the dedicated slow motion mode. It can shoot 4K up to 120 frames per second for 5x slow motion, and Full HD up to 240 frames per second for 10x slow motion. Plus, it also has motion time-lapse and motion hyperlapse with custom gimbal moves. And if you're really serious about shooting video, it also does 10-bit D-Log, which is a cinema profile that you can easily color grade to get amazing professional level results. So you're not just vlogging. You can also create cinematic travel and lifestyle videos. One thing I have to mention though is that the Osmo Pocket 3 isn't great for single shot photos. It's only 9.4 megapixels, but it really shines in panorama mode. In this mode, the camera actually stitches together 6 or 9 photos for a high-res wide shot or panorama. The Osmo Pocket 3 honestly redefines what a vlogging camera can be. It's packed with every single creative tool you need for videos in an ultra portable and budget-friendly package, as long as you're okay with the unique design. But if you want something that's closer to a traditional camera and you still want it to fit in your pocket, let's check out the Sony ZV-1F. It's $499 brand new or as low as $350 used. Its compact body makes it perfect for vlogging, travel, everyday carry, and pretty much all the benefits that a pocket camera gives you. And the ZV-1F is part of the vlogging line of cameras from Sony, so the design is exactly what vloggers and lifestyle shooters need. It has one button to switch between photo, video, and slow motion, making it very easy to work with, plus a defocus button on top for that instant background blur, and it also has 2 separate capture buttons, one for photo, one for video, and a zoom toggle. One unique feature in the ZV line of cameras is a built-in 3-capsule microphone, which sounds way better than most cameras' internal microphones. But for the best audio, you definitely want to get an external microphone. And of course, the ZV-1F has a side-articulating touch-sensitive screen for menus, settings, and autofocus, pretty much standard for any vlogging camera. Now, the reason some people don't like the ZV-1F is because it has a fixed 20mm lens. Personally, I like this lens because it's very similar to the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, and people love that camera. And the glass and lens quality on the ZV-1F is definitely better than the Osmo Pocket 3. But the 20mm focal length is actually perfect for vloggers because it lets you capture yourself and everything around you, which is exactly what you want in a vlog. And the lens also has an aperture of f2.0, which is great for low light and gives you more of that background blur effect. But the main reason people don't like the fixed 20mm lens is because you can't zoom with it. But the ZV-1F actually has Sony's clear image zoom. It's a digital zoom with AI upscaling, so the quality loss is very minimal with a digital zoom. There are versions of this camera with a built-in zoom lens, but those are $699 to $799. So for the price, the ZV-1F is a pretty good value. Inside, you get a 20 megapixel 1-inch type sensor, which is the same sensor as the more expensive ZV-1 and ZV-1 Mark II. And it also has Sony's incredible autofocus algorithm for face and eye tracking. The autofocus is contrast-based, which is slightly worse than the more expensive models, but for most casual users and vloggers, you guys probably will not notice the difference. This autofocus will be good enough for 99.9% of beginners. And the ZV-1F shoots 4K at 24 and 30 frames per second, which is exactly what you need for vlogs and lifestyle videos. And it also has digital stabilization for smooth handheld movement. But because the lens on this camera is so wide, and the camera is so light, you'll pretty much always get smooth video. But one unique feature is known as auto exposure for faces. It makes sure that faces are always well lit no matter what environment you're shooting in, and it also looks more flattering for faces. For slow motion, the ZV-1F can shoot full HD up to 60 frames per second for 2x slow motion, and full HD up to 120 frames per second for 5x slow motion. If you do want to edit in color grade, the ZV-1F also has S-Log and cinema profiles. However, it's only in 8-bit color, so you can't go crazy with it. And if you ever want to take photos, this camera shoots a ridiculous 16 frames per second. It's pretty much impossible to miss your moment. But it only shoots JPEG and not RAW, which is the file format you need for serious editing. But Sony also included creative picture styles that lets you add custom looks right in camera, so no editing required. So if you want a pocket-sized vlogging camera that also takes great photos, and you can create stylized photos and videos right in camera with very little work, as long as you're okay with the fixed 20mm lens, the ZV-1F is almost perfect, and it also comes at a great price. So what's the best beginner camera for vlogging? In my opinion, it needs to be an absolutely incredible value for your money, super user-friendly, but it also needs to be a camera that you can grow with as your skills improve. And at a beginner price point, there's only one camera that checks all the boxes, and that is the ZV-E10 Mark I for $699 new or $599 used. And I do realize this camera is a little bit more expensive, but when you compare it to the other options from Canon, Nikon, Fuji, those cameras are way overpriced for what you get. And I really do believe the ZV-E10 Mark I is the best deal for the money. The ZV-E10 Mark I has the same ZV style body with a very simple and intuitive button layout. It has one button to switch between photo, videos, and slow motion, a defocus button, and a zoom rocker, along with that 2 separate capture buttons for photos and videos, and a built-in microphone, which sounds pretty good. However, you should get an external mic for the best audio. And of course, it has a side articulating screen. However, it's not fully touch sensitive and only has touch autofocus. And the battery life is kind of small. You might want to pick up a spare, but you'll easily get about 40 minutes to an hour of nonstop video and a few hundred photos per charge. And the one thing I absolutely love about the ZV-E10 is that you get access to hundreds upon hundreds of Sony first-party lenses and third-party lenses to choose from. So as you get better, you can simply improve the look of your photos and videos by getting a better lens. And the kit lens the ZV-E10 comes with is also pretty decent for beginners. It's a 16 to 50mm lens, so you can get both a wide shot and a close-up shot. Inside the ZV-E10, you get a 24-megapixel APS-C size sensor, which looks pretty similar to the Canon and Nikon sensor, but it does have better low-light performance. And the autofocus is ridiculously fast and accurate. Sony is known for having really good autofocus, and without a doubt, they actually have the best autofocusing system. And this autofocus also has face and eye tracking, which is perfect for vlogs, but also cinematic video and photography. And it shoots video at 4K at 24 and 30 frames per second. But here's the best part. The video is actually downsampled from the full 6K image of the 24-megapixel sensor. And in simple terms, your 4K footage actually has the detail and clarity of 6K, but in a smaller and easier to edit file size. And the ZV-E10 also has digital stabilization for smooth handheld footage, and for slow motion it does full HD at 60 and 120 frames per second. And if you really want to get fancy with your video editing and color grading, it also has S-Log and cinema profiles, but keep in mind it's only 8-bit color video, so you can't push the color super hard. However, there's tons of people that have made amazing videos with this camera, so if you know what you're doing or learn to know what you're doing, you can achieve some absolutely amazing results. And if you want to learn how to get better with your photos and videos, check out the free camera community down below known as the Camera Collective, where you can talk to me personally, ask questions, and even chat with me on live stream. And this is a camera that's also very good for photos. It shoots 11 frames per second in RAW, making it great for not only fast-moving action, but also artistic edits. Overall, the ZV-E10 is great for almost any kind of video shooters, not just vloggers. So if you want to eventually move past vlogging into more cinematic stuff, this camera is one that you can grow with, and you also have an absolutely incredible amount of lenses to choose from. And if you want to make sure you get the absolute best deal on this camera, check out the links down below, as well as the 100% free camera community, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.